This is the Dr. Paul Show, a woman's personal guide to understanding men. And now, here's Dr. Paul.
Hi, this is Dr. Paul. This is the Dr. Paul Show, and I'm here to tell you that sex is a 4-letter word. Huh? What? I thought it was 3 letters. Nope. 4. L-O-V-E and L-U-S-T. Together, it forms a chemical bond called sex. Aren't you glad you know that? And let me tell you why. Sex happens. Oh boy. Love happens. Does it ever? And lust happens. L-U-S-T. Yeah, it does. It's a chemistry, and I can prove it. I brought my chemistry set here tonight, had it in high school, and actually I got it in grade school. And I got it all mixed together, and it's a love potion. You'll love it. When your heart starts to race, and your face becomes flushed, and your hands become sweaty, your palms are... because you are in love. Well, now, what does that involve? Are you sure you're in love, or are you in lust? Well, is there a difference? Maybe not. Well, let's find out. I said there's a chemical bond. You recall one of the shows I mentioned to you about the scent that the other has is one that you're attracted to. The olfactory sense that's in your nostrils, that sense that sends out a signal and receives a signal, all right, is something that we all happen to have. Now, we are animals. No, not, I know, maybe you know an animal personally and you happen to like him or her very much, but that's not the kind of animal we're talking about. We're talking about animals in terms of our abilities that oftentimes as humans we overlook. Well, if there's a scent that a person has and they're a distance from us, how do we know? I can't answer that question. Although I do know that if they take seats in a stadium, and it's been proven, say a basketball stadium, and in one area they place a lot of testosterone, women will tend to go there. I don't know if the same holds true for estrogen or not, but apparently it does work there. But we're not just talking about testosterone. We're talking about an individual's scent. What type of scent do you put out? Are there people that have a scent that you don't like? Yeah, there are. You may be with somebody and say, wow, there's something about that person I don't like, a member of the opposite sex. You really can't say what it is. You're never going to guess that it's the scent, but oftentimes it is. That person has a certain something in their chemistry that doesn't quite click with you. You probably will say, well, maybe it's the attitude, or maybe it's his attitude, or maybe she's wearing the wrong kind of perfume, but oftentimes that perfume will cover up the real scent. When you finally are with someone, and you're with someone sexually, you determine, wow, this is pretty wild stuff. And there's more. Here's what happens. There are several chemicals that happen to effuse from your body. Like that, chemicals effusing from your body. Sounds like a science fiction movie, doesn't it? All right, dopamine, norepinephrine, and, of course, the favorite that we like is endorphin. Let's see what they do. Norepinephrine is like adrenaline and produces a racing heart, excitement, etc., and hyperactivity. Ooh, we like that, don't we? That's that high. We love it. People in love, though, have lower levels of serotonin because they're obsessed with this other. The serotonin level is not there. It's very low. Now, it's not a good thing if you have a low serotonin level unless you have a replacement for it, and that replacement happens to be love. And there's more. Sounds like a commercial. There's more. Those in love obsess. We possess, but we more than possess, we obsess. We project ourselves into the other, and the other projects themselves into us. Oftentimes, you will see people who have been together for a long time actually take on the traits, the words, even the image sometimes of the other. We laugh and say, oh, that guy's dog looks like him, or that woman's dog looks like her. Yeah, that happens. We're beyond that. What I'm talking about is someone who is imitating. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, and we do imitate the loved one, the loved person. And it becomes very, very deep. A bonding happens. All right, when two people have sex, the hormone oxytocin is released, which helps bond the relationship. Okay, we're not talking about a drug. We're talking about the chemical oxytocin. You needed to know that, right? We're going to have a pop quiz, so get prepared, take notes. Well, maybe not. Anyway, the important thing is when it's released during orgasm, you know how to spell that, right? You're taking notes, O-R-G, you know how to spell that. Oxytocin begins creating an emotional bond. The more sex, the greater the bond. Now, bonding is really, really critical in having a relationship long term. The more bonding you have, the longer term that relationship is going to be. If you have no bonding, guess what? You're not going to have a very satisfactory relationship on one hand, and probably you're not going to have a very long-lived relationship. Okay, so the bonding is there in a sexual relationship. I'm talking about spouses, I'm talking about fiancés, I'm talking about significant others. The bonding system is there. We see people who have never been married, they've been together for 20 years, and they have this bonding, they have this chemistry. Or they have been married, they've been married for 20 years, and they have this bonding, this chemistry. Or they're engaged permanently. I don't know the answer on that one. But the point is that the bonding has happened in that relationship. And if you talk to people that say, wow, I've been married for 35 years, how does that work? Well, we're very much like each other, and that is the key. Psychologists in Britain did a very unique study. We say it's unique, but in a way it isn't. Oftentimes we hear the opposites attract. Not necessarily. In fact, not really that at all. We're not looking for people who look like us as much as people who are like us. And that is where the fallacy started. One time we said, people who look like you tend to respond to. No. We thought that for a long time, and the recent studies say, no. The people who are like you, who have similar tastes, similar interests, have that attraction to you because you're projecting yourself into someone else. And they're projecting themselves into you. Similarity is the key, not opposites. Oh, we're opposite. We get along so well. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. You may think you do. You may want to. You may work at it. It won't happen. I know. I'm looking forward to all the emails and all these wannabe consultants, as we get a ton of those, don't we, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dr. Paul, how can you say that? Well, actually, it was rather simple. I press my diaphragm, air comes up through the vocal cords, and I mouth the words. That's how I can say that. Didn't I say that to one of them? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was not well taken either, was it?
No, there was an even longer line in the complaint department. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Tough Love strikes again. The point is that if you are looking to see someone else, and this again was a study where they actually took a picture of, let's say, my producer Mike, and then they took the computer, which he is good at, master at, and they composed it so Mike becomes female in the face. And they showed this to other people to take the same thing with females and made their faces look like male. And they said, are you attracted to this person? Well, yeah, that person's interesting. Now, the question was, are you attracted to the person? The answer was, the person's interesting. Didn't say attracted, said interesting. Then, do you think this person is a lot like you? I think that person may be a lot like me. Would you like to meet this person? Yes, I would. Now, it wasn't a person at all. It was them with the configuration of being the opposite sex. All right? No, we're not talking about drag queens here. Don't start laughing, Mike. I see you back there.
I'm not putting on the lipstick. I don't care what you say. No way.
Well, I'll pass on that one. The fact is that people relate to those who have similar interests. Well, what do you like to do? Well, I like to go to rodeos. Oh, what do you like to do? Well, I like a jazz club pretty well. Well, that may not be similar. Of course not. And someone says, well, I'll do this, and for heaven's sakes, whatever you do, please listen to Dr. Paul. Don't fake it. I've had that experience, and maybe some of you have had, where someone tells you, oh, I like to do that too, and they don't. They're trying to get you, and are doing that in order to make you feel comfortable with them. Oh, I love to go to the opera, and you go, and the guy's asleep and snoring yet. That's the worst part. So you really have to be there and be honest, again, and find out what the likes are, because if they're like you, their thinking is the same. Oh, the worst of all worlds, I think, I won't say humble opinion, because Mike will jump in there and say, Dr. Paul, you've never had a humble opinion. Go ahead, Mike.
Ditto.
Okay. Guess what? If you find somebody who is of an opposite political thought than you, the probability is you don't want to get together. It's like one person who's a spendthrift and one person who is savings. You know it's going to be like this. The horns are going to lock. Yes, Mike.
I have a question with James Carville and who's it, Mary Madeline?
Yeah.
How do they get along?
I have no idea, and they have children. That is a miracle. I don't understand that. I really don't. There must be a push-pull in that.
There must be a rule in their house that they can't talk about politics. No way.
I would think, but they get on the air and talk about politics.
Yeah.
And they seem to not, I haven't seen any weapons, but I'm sure there must be some caustic issues at home after those interviews they have. It's like two different worlds, totally different. Good question. Well, we talked about bonding. Now we're going to go to one more point, and that is what happens with endorphins. What endorphins do, once you have that bonding, and this is another chemical, it's kind of a mixture, it gives you feelings of, guess what? Security. Wow. Now, this is during the orgasm that these three chemicals happen. This is how bonding occurs. So, what do we have? We have bonding, we have security, and we have hyperactivity. Well, hyperactivity yields to more sexual orgasms in terms of that chemical. Therefore, the bottom line is love is a three-letter word. Lust is a three-letter word meaning sex. Sex is a three-letter word meaning love and lust. So the combination of love and lust make it happen. Aren't you glad you know that? Wow, and you heard it here. Now, if you have any questions, you can call us, and Mike will give you those numbers in a little while, and email us, etc. And for those of you who would like to file a complaint to the complaint department, go ahead. Our complaint department head was he still a 300-pound gorilla, or did he lose some weight?
I think I've been elected.
Mike can be a 300-pound gorilla, trust me. Okay, so we went through that. I wanted to give you those issues because I think they're very important, especially with what we do. This is Dr. Paul. We shall return.
Have a question for Dr. Tough Love? Call him live in the Tampa Bay area, 727-441-3000. Or you can call him toll-free at 886-826-1340. You can also send him an email at doc@askdrpaul.com. The Dr. Paul Show will be right back after these messages.